And we are back with Mr. Mark Hernandez, and now we're going to go to the turn of the millennium now. We're going to go like 99, 2000.
Okay.
And that's basically Torque is now kind of ended.
Yeah, it ended right around 96, 97, 98.
Right.
We had just about to get, I mean, we were at the point where we finally found our own style. You know, Phil was actually comfortable singing, writing great lyrics, did a great demo with James Murphy.
Yes, yeah, good.
And it was like great sound quality. It was kind of we kind of found our groove. You know what I mean? And, Phil was like, I'm done. I'm out. You know, because obviously he's been doing this for a long time. And like to keep going and have nothing happen after that, dude, I feel it. I totally understand. At the time, I was crushed.
Yeah, he went to, we all do the same job kind of together. We all do commercial doors. My brother has been the main guy that hooked us all up, you know what I mean, where we needed. And he went and started working with my brother John at that time. But it wasn't too much longer after then he decided to start Torque up. And you were actually, he didn't audition you. He called you, didn't he?
He did. His cousin, Steve, had worked with this guy at one of these tech companies, Exodus. Funny enough.
Go figure.
Right? And this guy was doing he was programming and doing I don't want to say techno metal, but
samples and stuff.
Samples,
like
but it was aggressive music,
it was very aggressive.
And so when Steve had told this other guy, his name was Steve, that, oh man, my cousin's Phil Dimmel. And he was like, whoa. So he got those two together, and Phil was originally just playing guitar on the stuff. And so when they decided that they were going to take it a step further, it was great. It's great to be, on the short list for guys like that. So we started that up, and they started up, included me, and we were at it for quite a few years.
Till about 2002? Because he joined Machine Head in 2002.
Yeah. And
so that killed Technocracy kind of,
Well, and mind you, back in the Torque days too, because Debbie was so involved in all these different bands, I mean, we had been, I hate to air dirty laundry, and it's not really airing dirty laundry, but this is relevant because it has to deal with Technocracy and Machine Head at the time, because when, I remember Screw was losing their drummer, and so Debbie had, called Adam, and so Adam and I had a few phone conversations, and right before we went on one night at the On Broadway, I remember Phil telling me, he's like, dude, if you even go check this out, this band's not going to be waiting for you. And it was like, oh man, here I am. It's like I believed in everything we were doing. I was like a part of a band, of a gang, and that really crushed me, man, because
you're out of the gang, basically.
Yeah, you're out of the gang. If you even go...
if you go outside, you're out of the gang.
You're out of the gang.
You're not part of us no more.
And so...
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of fucked, but I get it. You know what I mean? It's like, I think losing people one after another, you know what I mean? That can be debilitating. I harbor no bad feelings. But with the Technocracy thing, we ended up recording a record. We did it ourselves. And... I thought it was really good. We had guitar solos because we have an amazing guitar player in Phil Dimmel, you know what I mean? We had the samples. We brought a show. So this for me was great. It was aggressive. We had these different programmed lights, I played to a click track and a DAT machine, so there were samples. It was a spectacle,
Yeah, right.
So it was really cool to do that.
Shaq, Brian Schneider.
Yeah.
Just playing different sample, just sampling, just pushing keyboard buttons, playing sampling. But I guess,
and that's how cool Phil is, because he even now what he's doing with the Merkins and shit, he stays true to his friends and his family, man. You know what I mean? Like Brian is like his best friend, and Brian doesn't play an instrument, but Brian was going to be a part of it,
right?
And I got much respect for that.
I even asked him,
crazy.
Does he know how to play keyboards, Phil? He's all, well, we're kind of showing him. I go, so he knows where in the song where to go. I'm, oh, okay, well, I guess that's part of the band, you know what I mean? I guess.
And he ended up being awesome on stage, man. When he finally started owning it and, getting aggro with it was great.
Performance is everything.
It is.
We are musicians and performers.
That's
we do
right.
not stand around and perform. No, we do not.
Yeah. So what happened was, when I think who did they lose? Aru?
Yes.
That's right. As a Burning Red. Yeah.
Yes, and there was just gigs that were supposed to be played initially. I think they were on Treasure Island or something. There was a couple.
There was that. There was a European tour.
Was there? I don't remember quite, but I remember.
Yeah. And it was funny because when he said, "Hey, man, these guys," I was like, "You fucking better go," right? Like, that's how I feel about it. This is your opportunity. Fucking get out of here, dude.
Right.
And
because of all the hard work over the years,
dude,
I never really
he's earned everything. All you guys have earned all the shit that you got. Nothing's handed.
No.
And
you as well.
Thank you. And I remember after that he brought it to the band, and everybody was like, yeah, man. They were all excited. Oh man, this is gonna bring great publicity for the band. And he took me outside, and and I really appreciate this because he took the time and he said, listen, man. It's really important that, I know you're thinking about the screw thing. And I was like, bro, go. Like, I would never hold you back for that. You're my bro. I want you to go, but what I love and respect is that he knew there was some cleanup, and he came back and wanted to make sure that, out of everybody in that band, he wanted my blessing. And that meant a lot, And, moving forward, the guys are, in the band were like, all excited. And I was like, make no mistake, he ain't coming back.
Right.
And they were like, oh, no, man, it's just tour. I was like, he ain't coming back, bro. And I called it right then and there because, dude, how can you go to that and come back to fucking playing Lindy's
to come
and
back
Bourbon
if they're going to allow you to do that.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, and that's the way that,
know.
So, thank God, man. Look what he's done for us. Holy
especially
crap.
now, but once Through the Ashes of Empires came out, it was like, boy, did he find him where he belonged in there, on the food chain.
And that was like,
I'm very proud of him being in his first band with him when he was 15 here in Dublin and watching him grow, so it's cool. And you've got to experience what I have with him. Basically, you've really gotten intimate with that guy, and know him like I know him. I know his parents, his family, his sisters. When I was 19, he was 15. So and him like that. You did,
and he was very tolerant because, mind you, I was a kid. I was, for all intents
and
purposes,
kid.
But I
go there.
I was a child when I joined that band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys they'd already had a career.
Yeah, they'd already
and
done
I
stuff,
fucking just graduated high school.
Right.
So, but thank God that took off for him, and that was amazing.
It says about 2002. So you kind of jumped around a little bit at that time.
I did. I was kind of.
You weren't really solid in one band or another until.
Yeah. Well, I did a little stint with Vicious Rumors.
Right. You didn't. I think everybody did a little stint with Vicious Rumors.
I know, right? It's like,
and like I said, I had Jeff in here the other day, and I love him.
He's great, dude.
He's a legend. He's a Barry, and Vicious Rumors is their new record is really good. Celebration Decay is a really good. 2 cuts have been released off of it. It'll be out on August 21st, and really good stuff. And I was just like, everybody's done their stint in Vicious Rumors. I guess it's where you go when you. I never did, but you never know. And hats off to him for always him and Larry keeping it alive. But did you kind of jumped around?
I did. I started. I ended up, kind of free floating, dude.
Yeah, you free floated.
Until
because I seen you in times and stuff like, hey, bro, what's up? I'm jamming with these guys, and I'm always jamming with these guys. You know what I mean? And
absolutely, and it seemed like everything. Anytime something would stick, it would break up. But I did a little stint with VR, and actually that's where I met Steve Smythe. He was in the band at the time, and I was I was slated to do the Cyberchrist record, right? So that they brought me on because Larry had moved on. I think he'd gotten married and he was done with it. And so here again, you know what I mean? I'm putting in this time, this effort, and done gigs with them. And again, I get a call from Jeff one day, and he's
hey,
like,
bro.
Right, dude, it's the story of my fucking life, man.
And you're probably shell-shocked the minute. And you know the tone. It's like when your old lady tells you you're pregnant, she's pregnant. There's no tone like that.
And it's
here it
you're
comes.
right.
Go ahead.
You know, but standing back and taking my personal feelings out of it, it all makes sense. You know, I mean, he's like, dude, you know, Larry wants to come back and he wants to do the record. And I think, you know, the way he put it to me was for the fans. I think that Larry should do the record. And I mean, how can you argue with that? Because I'm a fan of these bands too. And,
sure.
you know, just like
And the original guys are the original guys to me too.
They are, totally.
I'm sorry. I'm the
you know,
same
just
way.
like with the whole Violence reunion too.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? But
yeah, right.
I'm standing out in the crowd and watching Perry Strickland and the band. It's
That's
like
violence, right?
That's
I know
violence.
that.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And so, like, ego check aside, that makes sense.
Sure.
At the time, dude, when you're like, I can't fucking buy a gig. You know what I mean? Can't hit the
Right.
broadside of a barn to save my
Yeah.
life. And it was a tough time for music too.
Yeah.
You know, the 90s and early 2000s was like, you know,
Not for metal, for us.
Dude.
For what I did, I couldn't get again. There was a point in time when I thought, I would look at my ex-wife, the boy's mother, and I would be like, I wonder if the kids are ever going to know what I did, how at one point the magnitude it was.
Yeah.
And it just got washed clean because I went, you know, and worked as a carpenter like Phil did for 20 years doing doors. Like my brother got us all in. And then during the Temp of the Damned years, I dipped back and forth. But I mean, I really felt like the whole history of everything got wiped off the face of the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
in one broad stroke too. Like,
I mean, just
like that.
really quick. In one Concrete Foundations, I went down there one year.
Oh my God.
One year it was metal. The next year I went down there and everybody's talking Pearl Jam and Nirvana. And I was like, what? And it was it went that quick.
I was just talking with John Fataruso about Foundations. Really? Oh my God, the stories about that, dude.
Believe me, I got my own.
That was a year of Korn.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of bands.
All the
like
room
that.
keys had the Korn logo on them.
Yeah,
It's like, what
that's
is it?
right. That's right.
God, I was just like, that was NAMM on 11.
Oh, that was NAMM on 11. When you go to the hotel, when you get in the elevator, and there's 50 million stickers on it going, wow, this convention won't be here next year. You know what I mean? That kind of shit.
And you would be in an elevator with fucking Dee Schneider, or you.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was like
it was
unreal.
That was the first time you would ever be able to touch her
Yeah.
at a convention like that. Was the first thing.
I remember Bobby from Biohazard. You know, like somehow we ended up in the elevator. He's like, "We met before?" And I was like, "No, man, I'm Mark." And he was like, "Cool, nice to meet you." I was like, "Oh my God, it's Bobby from Biohazard."
Wild.
You know. And then I was talking with John about the story. I got to tell a story because it's hilarious.
That's why we're here.
Because there was a whole thing, you remember, with Yngwie and Donuts, and
We were on that tour.
Oh my!
You know that, right?
So we.
It happened on Suicidal Exodus and Pantera tour.
So we're at the bar, and
I need no fucking donuts. I need no donuts.
There's everybody in the bar, and so I'm with Fataruso. I'm with Vince from Immortality from the Valley. You remember them?
Yep.
Scotty and those guys, and myself and Bobby Gustafson and Tom Hunting. You know, we're all hanging out, and we're all having beers, hanging out, and then John yells, Yngwie's at the other end of the bar. He goes, "Hey, Yngwie, why don't you have another donut, you fat fuck?" And I'm standing there, we're kind of chuckling. Everybody hits the ground. And I'm the only dude standing there with my beer, like, as he looks across the bar. And I'm like, oh, you guys are fucked, man.
Okay, so this is the story. We're on tour with Pantera and Suicidal in 90. And he was on tour with Dio. And they were following us around. Our tour was playing like the day before or the day after. And basically, so we ended up at the same hotel in some city together. And somehow, you know, Pantera was the first ones to camera everything. And they had donuts. And they were offering to him. He's like, hey, Yngwie, you want some donuts? And he's like, no, I don't want no fucking donuts. I don't eat no fucking donuts. You know, Yngwie had kind of gained some weight on there. So they were probably playing off of that video from that because of the donut thing. And I'm sure that if you were the only one standing there, he was none too happy looking at you because of that.
No, dude. And that's like, you know, I mean, I remember.
You'll never be playing for Yngwie, by the way, Mark. Guess what? You'll never get that gig.
Right? Totally. Even looking different, it'd be like, I know. You're the fucking donut guy.
I remember. You're the donut guy. Okay, so now we're gonna get into is the next wave, the Omega wave. We're gonna talk about that. I want you to explain them to everybody.
Well, how? Okay, yeah. Okay, so you
Yes,
talk about the
build
forbidden
that.
years.
Yeah,
So building up into that,
got to build into that.
we did Reignition. I was part of this band.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
With Steve Esquivel.
That's right.
Snake.
That's right. Forgot
Tim
about that.
Howell
Yeah.
from Sacrilege, BC.
Yes.
And why am I? And Dave Moore, who played from a band in Fresno called Mindbender, who is this? He's a tattoo artist as well. Owns True Love Tattoo. One of the most amazing, natural, talented voices ever. Have you heard that record?
Yes. It's a great
I mean, it's
record.
like one of those. It's like the band that should have made it and didn't make it.
We thought that when I first heard that, boy,
Gary too. I remember
everybody.
Gary.
This has got some balls to it too, and
It was
it's
like
something different that these hard guys came up with, and it's really melodic and really cool. Yeah, I heard it.
And it was basic. You know what I mean? It was like
Simple
Tom
Cells.
Petty. Yeah, totally.
Simple Cells.
And it was funny. I used to say it was like diet metal. You know what I mean?
It's easy to play, right?
But it was his voice. It was just basic rock, heavy guitars because we were tuned down.
Sure.
And then that voice, you know what I mean? That could write a chorus, could write a hook.
Yeah.
And a melody. And you're like, whoa. You know, I mean, even at the time, you know, my family was fully behind this because they were like, this is the one. Even Phil, I remember Phil calling for the record release. We did it at Larry Blake's in Berkeley. And I love it. He's like, hey, man, it's like, can I, you know, is there any chance I can get on the guest list? And I was like, yeah, dude, but it's not going to be all that big. He's like, well, I'd heard that like they were shutting down the street. And yeah, I know. I'm like,
did it turn that big?
No. But it was packed.
Said it did.
Yeah. He was probably just being
I love
a nice
Larry
guy.
Blake's.
Oh, I miss it.
What a place to have.
Great shows down there.
Telling you.
Great shows. So, you know, Skin Lab had just done the Slayer tour. And I think Steve, very creative individual, is becoming disenchanted with the fact that, you know, they put out The Venting Room, and that should have been the record that broke them. That record is like, to me, that's the one. That's the third round knockout. Those guys should have gone to the next level. And it didn't happen, you know, because they kept putting it off. They were, first it was the mixes, then it was like they postponed the release. So like, you know what happened.
Sure.
So he called me up on the way home.
Business of the business.
Yeah. So he calls me up on the way home and says, you know, hey man, I'm going to be putting this, because originally it was Hugo from Inner Threshold and Under that was playing drums, and Mike Kaufman from Defiance.
Yeah, I know Mike.
And so he called me up. He's like, hey, I want to do this thing again. And well, great. So he sent me a song, you know, it was like Short Memory and By a Thread, two songs that became big staples for us. And so we were off and at it, and I really thought that was going to be it. So fast forward, we do a record, we sign an independent deal, it flops, you know, singer loses, gets disenchanted, and it's done. So we played a New Year's Eve gig with Dublin Death Patrol.
Oh, that's right.
And Glenn Avalis' band.
Yeah.
LD50. LD50, thank you.
That's
Super
right.
producer Wayne. Yeah. And Reignition opened the show.
That's right.
Great show, dude.
Yes.
Great show at that little bar. But it was that night.
0809.
Yeah. And it was that night that, you know, chatting with Glenn, and they're like, yeah, you know, Paul just took the Testament gig, and so we don't have a drummer, you know. And so Steve was like, this dude's your Huckleberry. And he's like, can you play that stuff? And I was like, yeah. And honestly, Twisted into Form was the only record I ever owned. I didn't go back to the first one and follow him any farther in. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, love to do it. So Glenn brought it to the guys, you know, and Craig he's not easily convinced. You know what I mean?
No.
I know. I should have had it just by walking in. This is a great Zetro story, by the way, too. So, at that time, too, I'm also working with Steve on a new Defiance record, you know, so this is before, why am I blanking on his name? Jim, Mike, Steve, myself, he passed away. Doug. This is before Doug passed away. So we're trying to get this record finished before then. And so I was doing that, and so I was also moonlighting in Heathen, working on what was their Evolution.
See, everybody, he has played in every Bay Area thrash band.
Total whore.
But Exodus.
Yeah, right? So it's a good thing to be versatile, too. So part of my background, like, allowed me to kind of...
Your catalog and your repertoire is everything, bro. Come on.
And you know, the funny thing is, Craig one time called me, like, the best karaoke drummer. And I was like, that's a great way to put it, right? Like, if you can emulate that much...
Sure.
That's fantastic.
Why not?
Huge compliment. So Glenn brought it to them, and they, you know, I think Craig reluctantly said, all right, you know, we'll audition him. So we're down at the Soundwave, the real Soundwave, and I'm down there, I'm playing the songs, and I think this is the second time through them. And we finished the last one, and in bus Zetro, and he goes, nailed it!
I think we were rehearsing there that
You
night
guys were,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you nailed it! You know, and I'll have you
And
know.
they all came in the office. I go, he nailed it. He nailed it. If you don't need to look, I'm like telling this disrupt out. You don't need to look any farther. You got to. You're just wasting your time if you look any farther. And that's when I walked in here. I go, I already told him, Mark, you nailed it. I even told him in front of them that he nailed it. So I know that's my. He gets my vote. So I know maybe my vote don't count here, but fuck him. That's my personality.
Oh,
so
totally. And it's great. And Zet, you've always been a huge proponent of all things me, man. That's what's been great.
I love it.
Been
I think you're a very, very talented individual. You're definitely a Bay Area icon in all of this. That because these players you wouldn't be playing. You wouldn't have done a stint in Testament. You know what I mean?
That was still to come too.
You know what I mean? You didn't do that. You wouldn't have done that and been asked to play with so many heavy hitters. In that, had you not had the chops or the talent or the drive, and people know what's up here. It's not always here. It's also here as well. Being able to, can he go to practice? Can he be there on time? Can he remember?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, there's a lot to being a musician, not just playing the instrument. As well, there's
a lot of sacrifices too,
many,
right? As you know too.
There's many. So, and then that was well. How long you got the gig, right? And then. How long before you started doing Omega Wave?
It was over a year because Craig was still doing Spiral Arms. And mind you, that was a bit tumultuous, as you know, too. You've heard the story.
Sure.
So there was like bitterness on that side as well. So the deal was it was a 3 week
With the
run.
3 week deal.
3 weeks. 3 week run in Europe. And it's hitting all the major festivals and, a few shows on the side as well. And, dude, I was like, I'm back in it, man. And
those festivals do make you feel like you're back in it, don't they?
Holy shit, man.
I know.
Because Torque made it over to Europe. We did the Dynamo Festival the year that Slayer headlined with John Deddy, which was, oh my God. And who else? Venom played that year too. So that had been it. 96 was when I went over there and hadn't been back since, right? So getting to go over and like on this level, you know what I mean? We're on a bus, we're getting hotels. It was just fantastic. But it was only for that. So after the end of that tour, there was the offers to do the Thrash Domination in Japan.
Love Thrash Domination.
And so, it was like, it was piecework for me. Like, you did this and like, well, we got this offer. Are you interested in doing it? Yeah, dude, let's go to Japan, man. And it was Testament, Voivod, and Forbidden. And it was like, let me tell you what, standing in the rafters, of Club Kita and hearing them play the Pink Floyd cover as after they dedicated it to Piggy, and Away took the set list.
Piggy passed.
Yeah, and Snake took the set list and folded it into paper and airplane and threw it out into the crowd. It was like, whoa, it was a heavy moment. But then the cool thing about that is we got the curtain drop every night, right? And so, Chuck and Testament, they will not be outdone. You know what I mean? They bring the heavy and they crushed it every night. In fact, I think that Paul, the first night we were there before the first show, took me out and got me fucked up on purpose.
Purpose? Really?
Saboteur. Zambuca was the drink.
Chuck Billy sent him on that trip. You know it.
Because he was nowhere to be found until showtime. So he had all day to rest it off, bro. And I'm like there at noon, hurting. But the most epic thing, that curtain drop, because we opened up with Infinite, Parting of the Ways, and then wow, just seeing 1,100 people go, ah.
Yeah, it's great. And they're such good fans.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that festival.
And so I think at that point, that solidified it for Craig that there was something there, because people had always been poking him to do something else. Write another record, get the band back together. And
I poked him.
He was strictly, this is just it. I'm not interested in that. That's no. And I think that really sparked it. So after that, we continued to rehearse. And, I think for him, it was kind of like, well, let's see how we write together. Because everything he does is very well thought out. It's very methodical. And so I think the first song we wrote together was Adapt or Die.
Uh-huh.
And I think at that point, the reception, how he felt about that and us working together, I mean, there's a language that I feel very grateful to have crossed paths with him, because there's a language that he and I speak that not many people in this world get to experience that. It's like that thing where, like, it doesn't have to be said. I know where you're going with this, and he knows where I'm going with it, and we end up at the same spot.
I think most great bands channel that, you know what I mean? There's so many, Page and Plant, Steven Tyler and fucking Joe Perry. I mean, they fit there. There's a fit there. There's a players, and I think that works with every band. I think that is where the chemistry starts.
Yeah,
anyway.
Absolutely. Definitely. So we continued to kind of write, and then talks began, because when we were on that tour, we were at Grass Pop, and Yop was there.
Yeah, of course he was. Of course he was.
Right? And he was like, he was pushing hard trying to...
We want all the thrash bands, and you're the one we don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? Right, I know.
And so, it took about a year. We did another stint in Europe after we'd continued to write. We released Adapt or Die and did some West Coast dates. And the reception we got from that tune was remarkable. You know what I mean? That back at the time, it was MySpace. So,
remember MySpace.
Within a few hours, we had 17,000 listens.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, oh, okay. So
they really really like us. They really like us.
Yeah.
It's not just yes.
Absolutely.
What a great feeling.
It was. And it was huge. And it was like, wow, again, that same thing. Oh man, this could really be something.
That's why we do this, because everything is it's who knows what's going to happen next for any one of us.
So we set off to write a record. And Craig and I spent the better part of a year, him and I, a lot. Matt came in and would rehearse, and then we would bring Steve out to when he could come out for a little bit and work on some stuff, and then he'd go back, and a lot of that was just like grinding it out, him and I, 3-4 times a week, hours, just writing, rehearsing, working on it, recording it, tweaking it, and it was great, man. It was really great. And by the time we finished that record, it was like, we definitely have something
great record.
Very cool. That
I'm on a little bit of it too.
Yes, you are, dude. That was great.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a gig. I remember telling Chuck, I was like, we don't strike drums. And he said, that's all right. We strike our own.
That's great.
But I mean, that was a great experience, because it was like, I think that we paid tribute to their past and also to where it was going, because there was technicality, musicality, but there was also, I think there was a groove to it that hadn't been there before, and it was kind of cool. It's like the Gene Hoglan thing, make it an egg, make it heavy in the middle,
right.
And I think we accomplished that. I'm very proud of that record, man. And for a lot of fans, that's one of their top. So
it's a great record. It is really, I think at that point, you're so aware of what your craft is and what you do, and that record exemplifies that vocally, lyrically, musically, musicianship, playing wise. It's top to bottom. It's fucking
it's solid.
Go piss into gasoline. That album. It's a great record. When I first heard it, because Craig wanted Chuck and I, to do the part on it,
which was awesome.
It's great, and then I heard the record. I was like, God damn, this thing is a fucking monster. Although it didn't carry much legs for you that long.
No, and sadly, this ties back into the first gig with Violence, when you're like, why the fuck were you drinking margaritas when that is the biggest gig of your life?
Yeah.
It was like, it's part of my story and how like my self-sabotage, literally that's what it does. You know what I mean? I've had to do a lot of work over the years to get over that hump, because I would literally,
shoot yourself in the head.
Totally.
Nobody else is killing you. Don't you kill me.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'll find a way to kill myself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hold my beer.
I'll be back because I'm going to fuck this up. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
totally. Right. Get it now because it's short-lived, you know?
Right. Which really wasn't much longer after the record came out, really. Huh?
No, it wasn't, man.
Didn't go much long.
But it definitely, it would have had legs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's you know, if there are things you look back and go, man, you know, I feel like I've made my amends with all those people, but man,
I think every one of us have those things. If I could do this again, you know what I mean, how I would do it. So, you went quiet a little bit after that, didn't you?
I did, and during that time, so on the reunion tour, you know, the first tour I did with them, our first night was in Denmark. Love Denmark, and the legendary Hank Sherman came out to the show.
Oh my God, I almost forgot. I'm glad you brought that. I was going to kill myself if I didn't.
And
that's right. I'm glad we're getting into this.
Yeah, and so he came out because he wanted Craig to do this thrash record.
This is my favorite thing you did, by the way. By the way.
Thank you.
By the way.
I still listen to that.
People don't know this, you know, but we're about ready to hit him in the face.
Yeah.
I'm going to guarantee there's going to be people that are watching this that did not know about this.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
And believe me, a big shame.
And you can thank me for that.
A big shame.
So he came out to the show, and his deal was he had written these songs, and he wanted this Bay Area kind of thrash vibe. And he had Klaus, who was his buddy, who was singing, who's like a cross between Tom Araya and Arnold Schwarzenegger, is the way we coined it.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. If you listen to it now, try to get that image out of your mind.
Now I will, because I really like his approach, man.
It is.
I love his it's very original, very much so. Mm-hmm. And his cadence is like...
And he definitely has some of that, his accent to kind of like, you know, the enunciation of the words, you know, you can definitely tell. So they came to the show, and originally he wanted Paul. He wanted Bostaff to do drums on the record, you know, and it's like he loved Forbidden. He loves Forbidden. Uh-huh. I think for him that was like his favorite Bay Area thrash band. And so he wanted that, and for whatever reason, Paul was busy. Paul couldn't do it, you know, and I was kind of like, well, I'd be down. I'm just saying, you know, I mean.
I'm just saying, you know.
I'm right here. And, you know, and Craig was kind of like, you know, that's not a bad idea, you know. So he had presented it to Hank, who was a little apprehensive, you know, but I think once Craig and I started writing together and, you know, we released that song, I think my approach to writing and playing for him kind of, I think, eased it, and he was all in it. And I mean, dude, I'm like, fuck, I'm working on a record with Hank Sherman.
Right. Wow.
Whoa. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what any of you have done.
Exactly.
This is what I'm doing.
I can die now. I've just did it.
Right?
Hank Sherman, I know.
And the music he sent over to me, I was blown away. I was like, whoa. I was expecting maybe a little heavier Merciful Fate thing, but this was full on.
Completely different from what he
balls to the wall
yeah.
thrash, you know? And I was like, dude, this is amazing. A lot of fast double bass, syncopated. I was like, whew, I'm really going to have to do some wood shedding for this, you know? And, dude, you know, once they sent the songs over, we never rehearsed as a band. You know, it was like they would send
songs, went in the studio and did it.
And so I ended up, I tracked the record, the Omega Wave record, but when we were tracking the demo tracks for, because we released a little demo as we recorded Hope Gnosis and Adapt or Die. Uh-huh. And these were kind of for the record company to like, here's what we're doing.
Right.
You know, do you want it or not kind
right.
of deal? And how much money are you going to
sure.
give us? And so at that during those sessions, we would do that, and then I would record the drums for Demonica, just to scratch.
That's what we're
tracks.
Talking about, by the way. The name of the band is Demonica.
I'm sorry, yeah.
With Hank Sherman.
And it's
and Craig Cicero.
It'll blow your fucking head off.
Go if you have not heard the Demonica album, go listen to this album. It got passed over.
Yes.
I don't know. Am I blaming you for that, or you're taking the brunt of that?
I'll take it.
Anyway, he's taking the brunt. Go get, because
it's heavy.
This is a fucking heavy record, man. Like I said, I love everything you did, but this is probably my favorite.
Dude, I've played it for some people before, and they've been like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, oh, you've never heard this? And they're like, oh my God.
I know.
So I'm, I mean, dude, at the end of the day, if it all ended tomorrow, I've done some really, really cool shit. You know what I mean?
Yes, you
and
have.
I'm totally grateful for that. So we would track the drums and then come back the next day. I'd do another Forbidden song, and then we'd track out the rest of the drums. So we had like 3 days at Audio Voyage in Livermore, and we tracked all the drums. And we worked really hard to get these great, because at the time we were like, records sounded homogenized. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I love the sound of a good, solid, tight metal record, but that's not the way they used to be made. You know what I mean? The early records that you guys made were live. They had real drums. They had the real warmth of the amps, the vocals, the tape. It was all there. And so with Omega Wave, we were very cautious and conscious of the fact that that's the record, that's the type of record we wanted to make. So not overproduced, but sounding raw enough so you can get that energy out of it. I think we did that. So we were taking that same approach with the Demonica stuff. And so we sent him over, and we had Dave Otera in Denver. He mixed it. And dude, when we got it back, it was like, well, that's not what we sent over. You know what I mean? But for the type of music it was and it is, it totally fits it. It's like just raw aggressive. You can turn that fucker up.
Industrial metal sounding, even though it's not industrial metal. It's got that, how do you explain it? Garbage truck mentality. I mean, it's really fucking, you get hit by it, it's going to run you fucking over. It's really, but it's not like chunky, but it's aggressive as fucking hell, man. I love it. I'm awesome. When that was like, because we were supposed to have you in last week, we had a mix up, and we're blaming Wayne for that. Wayne always screws with us, and I was supposed to have Mark in earlier. But when we talked about that, so I listened to the Demonica record that week because I was just like, God, this record is so. Go listen to the Demonica record. Demonstrous. Yes, that record is just fucking amazing. Thank you. Love it. And so, when we did that record, Hank's like, he's all in-house. So like artwork, videos, publicity, everything. He did it all. You know what I mean? It was like my first experience with that, because things were changing at that point, right? You know what I mean? You didn't need big record labels to do all your publicity. We figured that out. And like now, you know what I mean? It's like, who's your, bands are doing it themselves. Yes. And the successful ones. Social media is really everything. Right. It's created a gap between the fan and the musician there's no longer a gap there. Social media has brought us together. You know what I mean? Which is cool. I think it's great. It's great. It allows access. It keeps longevity going too, because people feel like they're much more a part of it, which they are. They are, because I acknowledge people that, like leave comments on the show or fans, and I think that you see the same fans comment on your stuff all the time, so you kind of know them by their handle or whatever, or maybe their name. And I think that didn't exist before, and I think that helps us out too, Mark. I think that's really been a plus for us, because we're metal, and especially the type of metal we play is that type of music that's very, hey, what's up, bro? What's happening? Come to the gig tonight? Cool. See you in the front row. Not like, oh my God, he's backstage and I'm here. It's together. It's very much together. And you bring that up. That was the thing when you talked to Phil, like about your approachability and how cool you are with people. Back to that story, how you bust in the room, it was like, nailed it. This is your guy. Right. You know what I mean? That's the guy you are. Right. You know what I mean? There's never been that. There's no ego. There's no separation. Never has been. Yeah, totally. This is what you get with me. Yeah, totally. You know what I mean? People, it's like, again, interrupting. If I'm talking to somebody not on camera, I'm like, well, no, I don't get like this. And then this one thing, and like people are like, oh, okay. And then I think that's how it is. And I'm just excited about shit. You know what I mean? That's good. I dig it. I enjoy it still fully, and I'm interested in it. It's not like something, well, I've been this entity for 35 years. I can just milk off of it. People will just see. It's not like that. It's very genuine for me, because I truly love this. I truly love, my relationships that I have with the people that I've kept in friendships that I've had now for 35 plus years. You know what I mean? So it's great. It's great to be a part of this fraternity that you are very much part of. Well, thank you for that. You know that. I do feel that, man. As I get older, like, I always felt like
I was in AAA ball. You know what I mean? Like, you're almost there, man. You know, but what I've learned is that it's this. That's what makes me feel not a part of. You know what I mean? That's totally what it is. And I mean, who would fucking think that I'd be sitting here with some guy that when, you know, it's like...
I said the same thing. I mean, who thought growing up in this town when I'm 12 years old, I would be doing this, or that people would want to listen to this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Whoever. So it's all a plus to me. Talk
so
about...
The Demonica thing, yeah.
Going.
So that was my first experience with Hank, he's an amazing human being. You know what I mean?
I don't know him. I've only met him once before.
I mean, just super sweet human being. I hope I'm not ruining it for you, bro. But just a really cool guy. You know what I mean? I was kind of... I don't get starstruck too much, but like, this is Hank Sherman. You know what I mean? Like
Merciful fate.
They influenced,
yes,
you know,
yes,
everyone.
Everybody.
You know, and
the king is the king.
Yeah, and it was like, wow, this is just like, you know, whoa, what's happening? You know what I mean? And thank you, Craig, you know, too, for bringing me in, because he's kind of the one that vouches for you, you know, and says, yeah, this guy's legit. Let's do it. So. We did the record. It sounds amazing. It's aggressive. And we go over, we do a week. We do a couple shows. We do a week of tour dates. And the last one ending up at the Alcatraz Festival in Belgium. And, you know, we had some technical difficulties and didn't quite go as well as we had hoped it would go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not sure if that kind of sucked the wind out of it a little bit. Probably did. But we were slated to go at the end of August. There was going to be a tour with Forbidden, Demonica, and I for the life of me, I apologize, I can't remember the other band. So Demonica was going to open up. There's a middle band. And then
double duty, right?
Yeah. And so during this time, mind you, you know, I'm married. I have 2 kids. I still have a job, too, that I come home to. You know, thank you, Pop, for employing me through all this crap, you know. And, you know, I'm getting, much like I know you know, I'm getting the heartstrings pulled at home, you know what I mean? Because I have 2 different lives at this point. I have me on the road, and I have me at home. And those are 2 different human beings. 2 completely different.
I know this.
You know, it's like, this guy doesn't even fucking exist over here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm getting the, you know, it's over. Like, if you're going to do this, like, the kids and I were gone. And, you know, so we were doing Bloodstock. And so it was actually at Bloodstock when I made that decision. I was like, I'm sorry, guys, I can't do it. And we're like 3 weeks from doing this tour, right? And I'm on double duty, mind you. So I'm fucking the whole thing up.
You're screwing everybody.
Fucking everybody over, man. And Yop flew out to the show because he's like, you know, you can't do this. You know, what can we do? You know, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do. You know what I mean? Because at that point, there was nothing that could be done. You know what I mean? It was like,
I know.
Either this goes,
at a certain time.
Yeah,
I understand.
I know you do, and that's
I had
why
to make that fucking decision myself. That was the hardest decision I ever had to make. But I had people that relied on me, Mark.
Yeah.
People that relied on me, you know, medical and me bringing home a paycheck every week. And at that time, when I had to make that decision, the band was not pulling the money that I could make if I went to do doors like with Phil instead. Sorry. And I had children who needed medical and children who were playing baseball and soccer and all these that need cleats and shit like that.
And you miss out on when you're out.
Oh God, I
miss.
I was watching graduation, 8th grade graduation, 6th grade graduation on a fucking video and crying my eyes out, going, "Why am I doing this? Why am I living this facade that I'm not even happy out here doing, so everybody else, so the fans could be, you know, placated that I'm here, you know what I mean? They don't understand the pain that I'm going through. I remember we did a tour, probably the last tour of Europe before I'd left in 04, and the kids, it was during Father's Day was on that tour, and they all gave me cards, and I never opened them until the last day of the tour. And I finally opened them on the last day of the tour and spent all day crying on the bus reading what my kids said to me. So that's when I knew it was time that I had another responsibility that I had to take care of for myself, that I had gotten myself into, and I'm not going to let go, oh, well, tell my ex-wife, you go fucking raise them, and I'm Johnny Rock and Roll Star later. So I did what I had to do. I'm glad that I'm back and I'm full on and my children are grown and they have their own band and everything worked out, but it was a time when I wasn't happy about that. So I understand.
I know
exactly
you do. I know you
what
do.
You had to go through. It's tough.
That's a tough one, dude.
It's a tough one. It is really tough because here's this thing, this entity that you've like spent since you were 5 years old trying to be, and you got handed it, and you're getting it from two ends now, really. And it's check it out. Tap out.
Yeah.
You tap out or I'm out of here. And you're like, I bet my family, what am I going to do? And you do the right thing. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You do the right thing.
So we were doing Bloodstock and Brutal Assault. So talk about doing that in a fucking weekend, people. Logistically, that's rough. I mean, that's the lifestyle that we sign up for,
that's
right?
Like I tell everybody,
dude, there's no sleep. You're flying, and you got to be on, man. So the next day at Brutal Assault, we have a mutual friend too, Abba, who I had met. I'd met Abba at Foundations, or not Foundations, but NAMM one year, and he was toting Phil around as Phil was, like doing all these different guitar things and whatnot. And him and I ended up out front, struck up a conversation, kind of a relationship, and chatted. And so he's very good friends with Andreas, and those guys. And so I think at that time, Jean was about to exit the scene too. So, I mean, here's my life, people. You know what I mean? It's like one door closes and a bigger one opens and you're kind of left like, what the fuck, man? Like, if you don't think God, if you believe in God, has a sense of humor, I'm here to tell you he does. So I'm at this festival and Abba's like, hey, man, I want you to go and I want you to talk to these guys because, I think that you'd be a good fit. And I'm like, okay. So I met up with Paulo and Derek and Andreas, and it's like, man, I just don't even know. So all this stuff's going on in the background, knowing that like this is it. This is the last one,
Right.
And I'm kind of like,
boy, when it rains, it pours, huh?
It does, right? It's like, and it's also like I don't believe in luck or like, like, wow, you're in the right place at the right time. No, I believe that every action you've done up to this point has either put you in a position to receive a gift or to have it taken away.
I agree with that. I can agree with that. Although I'm very good on karma, and I do believe a little bit in luck, and I do believe being at the right place at the right time. But I think that everything that you do in your life, even as a child growing up, contributes to this if it happens to go for you.
Yeah.
I've hooked many things in my person and the way I've grown up to equal because I've done this is why. Because the old man was hard on me. Because I did this like this. Because I used to listen to records all the way through and memorize the lyrics is why there was all these little things that maybe they didn't, but I say they did. You know what I mean? There's a reason why this has happened. And I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So, it's like, here I am thinking like, whoa, man, I'm like, this is an iconic band. You know what I mean? Like, if this opportunity happens, whoa. Again, another like.
See what happens? It's so heavy that the toys start falling down.
I think so.
And then Mr. Hankey has to give me a Heidi-ho. Heidi-ho! See how heavy that is? That's what happens here on the boat.
So it was a cool trip. And by cool, I mean temperature-wise, it was very cold. I had doors slammed in my face, like backstage. Like, people were not happy, and understandably so. You know what I mean? It's not just affecting my family and me. It's affecting many other families.
It's
and
a bullet
a business
that fires through everybody, dude. When you fire that bullet, it hits everybody.
Yeah, and it's like everybody's collateral damage. So I had to retract. You know what I mean? Didn't speak to anybody. Like, I had to basically disappear. You know what I mean? Because I felt like, my name is Mud, and this is it. I've basically blacklisted myself by doing this. You cancel a tour when you're playing double duty.
Well, not double duty, but I did. And that's how I quit Exodus. They were all laid out on the table. We were supposed to leave the next day, and I said, I'm not going. I know. We'll get into that some other time.
And my guitar player went out and sang for a few dates.
I believe so.
Eskimo,
that's right.
with the Megadeth tour. Yeah.
That happened.
We're connected, people. We are connected.
We're going to take another break, and we're going to get back. When we come back with Mark, we're going to talk about...
And we got to talk about the Killing on Command benefit.
We will definitely touch a little bit on that because we got to do a whole episode for Killing on Command.
Oh, my God. Yes, we do.
When we come back, we will definitely hit on those two things with Mark Hernandez.